画面が明るすぎる。ちょっと暗くしよう。乗り物欲しいね。乗り物。ウルト回収やるか。
Let's get this mission started. Complete the
15分ってすごい長いね。とりあえずラジオを少しずつ聞きながら行きますか。ストレンジラブのやつがめちゃくちゃ増えてんだな。これ1個だけだからこれ聞くか。
Hello? Snake? Mon chéri?
You've been drinking, Cecile?
Can't you please do something about this pest?
Who?
Monsieur Muller!
What's he done now?
Wine.
Wine.
He said he thought the soldiers might tire of having beer all the time. So he's brought in some wine instead. And then he gave me a bunch.
Well, that was nice of him.
But the past 2 years have been bad for French wine. Perhaps it is the bad weather we have had. But whatever the case, I told him the last thing you want to be drinking right now is French wine.
Well, California and Chile have good wine, too.
But then he goes and stocks the pantry with nothing but French wine from 72. The stuff is a disaster. Then he says, "Come on, Cecile. Have a taste of the old country." I had a terrible feeling about it. So I decided just to taste it at first. And then again. And then a few more times.
Took one for the team, huh? But when you do a tasting, don't you usually spit the wine out?
But bottle after bottle, nothing but garbage. Absolute garbage. Not one half-decent bottle in the whole lot. Taste of the old country, he says.
Sorry to hear that.
I cannot believe this. What will we do with all this wine?
The guys aren't too picky when it comes to taste.
Ugh. You sound just like Monsieur Miller.
Huh?
When I complained, he simply said, "As long as it gets the job done." You people are such culinary savages. Allez tout vous faire voir. Somebody take me back to Paris, please.
I think you've had a little too much, Cecile.
完全に酒癖悪い人になってる。
You seem like a very, how do I put this, uninhibited woman.
You think so? I am no different from other Parisian women. Not since May 1968.
May 1968. The general strike that almost brought down the president.
Right. But it was more than just a strike. It started with the student movement at Strasbourg University in 66. They did not want anything from the country, but instead sought reform at the school. That helped ignite a fire in the hearts of scores of dissatisfied young people. And the movement spread all over France. It was more than just opposition to Vietnam and the de Gaulle administration. People also called for free love and the breaking away from other old values. Looking back, I am not sure what the main goal really was. But whatever the case, It was more of a young people's movement than a strike or a protest.
So, it was like the hippies or something?
In some ways, perhaps. But we weren't blinded by mysticism, nor did we seek a return to nature.
I see. So, while they wanted to retreat to their closed communes,
We tried to change the world. And in doing so, we learned that when everyone comes together, it can be done.
you had a lot more success. In America, hippies have just become a social problem, while I hear Japan's student movements crashed and burned.
I wonder what was different.
Good question. I'd like to know myself.
これで終わりかな。これで終わりだね。そしたらあとヒューイがなんかまた増えてる。
Nuclear deterrence means preventing the use of nuclear weapons in conflicts between states. But what about other situations?
Like what?
Terrorism has been on the rise in recent years, from separatist movements to far-left extremists. What would happen if nuclear weapons fell into terrorists' hands? Without a state, that is, without territory of their own, the chances of having nukes used against them are slim. They have no reason to fear a nuclear strike. Conversely, they have no reason to hesitate to use nukes against their adversaries.
You've got a point. All the ICBMs and strategic bombers in the world amount to nothing against a terrorist group.
Right. Of course, this is all still hypothetical. Countries keep their nukes under tight watch. There's no immediate danger of terrorists getting their hands on them. But the day may come when the proposition of nuclear terrorism makes nuclear deterrence theory a dead letter.
Nuclear terrorism. Interesting.
Snake, how much do you know about the U.S. Homeland Air Defense Network?
I don't know much about what goes on up in the sky. What I do know is that NORAD tracks Santa Claus on its radar.
Nice one. I didn't know you were a comedian, too.
Huh? No, I'm serious. It's true, NORAD tracks his... Listen to me. Every December they set up a hotline and...
Okay, I get it.
He's real, I tell ya. He used to bring me presents and...
Okay, Snakey. As all good little boys know, keeping tabs on Santa Claus is a very important job for NORAD. But they also have another mission. The one they were created for. And the system they set up for that has been hijacked by Coldman.
You mean Peace Walker's fake data transmissions?
NORAD's early warning system is composed of DSP satellite-mounted infrared sensors and an array of surveillance radar stations across North America. The network sends out warnings to NORAD at Cheyenne Mountain, where the data undergoes human evaluation. Peace Walker, on the other hand, has to make its retaliation decisions autonomously. So it's set up to automatically receive the same data as NORAD through covert channels. Those channels were also used on the test platform to telemeter the AI's decision-making. Peace Walker reversed the system to transmit a fake warning about incoming nuclear missiles outside the usual exercise schedule. I mean, the system could have used better safeguarding. Nobody's going to argue with that. But cracking the AI? That seemed unimaginable. And you can see what happened.
お、いいね。事故はなんもないし、アマンダもなんもないし、パスがなんか増えてる。
Professor Galvez was a KGB spy? I thought he helped me out of genuine concern for Costa Rica's future.
You didn't know.
How could I? Believe me, Snake. He introduced himself as a peace researcher at the university. He had an office and credentials and everything.
They're masters at creating cover personas. They think of everything. ID papers, jobs, sometimes even families. Don't feel bad you didn't see through it.
But you did?
From the first time we met.
I wish you had told me.
Sorry. I didn't know if it'd be right. You might have gotten mixed up in things you shouldn't.
That is impressive, though. Sizing him up at a single glance.
He reeked.
Reeked?
He had this unmistakable air about him. The air of someone who's been given a mission and will see it through no matter what. Like me. I could just smell it.
That is amazing, Snake.
I'm just kidding. It was his prosthetic hand. Why would a professor from a peace university need a tool for assassination?
I have a favor to ask you, Snake.
Name it.
I want you to give me a job here. I want to help out.
You sure? You just went through a hell of a time. You should probably take it easy until you're settled.
Thank you. But there must be something I can do. You would not want me near a gun. But I am a decent cook.
Now there's a skill we can use.
Put me on the mess hall team. I think I can handle it. Once I get used to it, I will even add in some Costa Rican recipes.
Sounds like a plan.
ミラーがめっちゃ増えてんな。スペシャルアイテム。
Snake, the R&D team came up with something new.
What's this?
It's a cardboard tank. It's got enough room for 2 people. Same as any other cardboard box. Apparently the guy in front drives, and the guy in back is the gunner.
Hold on, Kaz. Who the hell came up with this thing?
I'm sorry, boss. He meant well, I swear. I know it's nowhere as good as a real tank, but still.
It's brilliant!
Huh?
The perfect synthesis of stealth and attack power. Compact, elegant design. The finest example of a weapon I've ever seen. Seriously, Kaz, I need to meet the guy who made this. I want to shake his hand.
You serious? Snake, look at it.
It's a masterpiece, in every sense of the word. You don't agree?
No,
What is that? A tank? I like it.
Boss?
I hate tanks, but this one I think I could get used to. I love that it's a zero-emissions vehicle. It will not hurt the forests of Costa Rica.
What?
Nice work, Kaz. I see I made the right choice making you second in command.
But is there something wrong with me?
意外と面白いよね、カズの。About himself.
March 10th, 1945. 381,300 cluster bombs were dropped on Tokyo. Japanese houses at the time were almost all made of wood. In that single day, a third of Tokyo burned to the ground. My mom lost her family and home in that raid. She had to move to Yokosuka and live with her cousin. The B-29s kept on coming, razing other major cities throughout Japan without mercy. Then, in August, they dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and Japan surrendered to the United States at last. After that, Yokosuka was flooded with American soldiers come to occupy the country. My mother was still in her mid-teens, and she learned from her cousin how to survive in that town, by servicing the troops. That's how she met my father, and how I was born. My father was an officer serving with the government section of Allied GHQ under General Whitney. Whitney was known as MacArthur's shadow, and my father rode his coattails to a pretty high rank. While he was in Japan, he treated my mom like a wife. After he went back to the States, though, she never heard from him. I wasn't born until after he went back. My mom raised me as a single mother. She used the money my father left her to open a shop selling cigarettes and stuff to occupation troops. It was a decent living, but I didn't have citizenship. They're working to change the law now, but back then if your father was unknown, you couldn't get onto the Japanese family register. And in Japan, that means you can't be Japanese. So as I watched the American soldiers around town, I said to myself, I'm a son of America, the victor. My hair and eyes were different from the skinny, downtrodden Japanese around me. I told myself I'd leave this country someday and return to my true homeland. When I was around 10 years old, my mom fell ill. pretty much leaving me to run the shop in her place. One day I found a single picture of my father in the back of a drawer in the shop. I'd show it to the American soldiers who came into the store. A few years went by before one of them told me who he was. I know him, that's Miller. I started asking other guys, do you know where Miller is now? Can anybody tell me where Colonel Miller is now? Turns out he'd left the service and was making a living as an instructor for soldiers in Virginia. It was one of his students who finally told me that. I wrote him a letter in English. I'm your son. I want to go to the United States. Day after day I waited. Then just when I was about to give up, the post office delivered my future to the door. My father sent me some money. I thought my dream was going to come true. I was only thinking of myself. So I went to my bedridden mother and convinced her to let me go. My father arranged for a car to pick me up. It was jet black. When the neighborhood kids who'd always made fun of my hair saw it, their jaws practically hit the ground. I put my mom in a hospital and went on my own to America. When I met my father for the first time, he was living alone in a big house. He told me he'd lost his son, his American son, in Vietnam. He showed me a picture of my older brother. I guess that and his divorce left my father feeling lonely, which is probably why he finally took an interest in me. He'd retired from teaching. He was stooped over, could hardly walk, but he gave me two things: the name Miller and money for school. I used it to learn English and then go to college. America was exhausted from years of fighting in Vietnam. They were waging war in a foreign land, while at home, people were screaming for peace. Right after I graduated, I went back to Japan, alone. My father refused to see my mom. It was the first time I'd seen her in years, and she wouldn't even look at me. At first, I thought she was mad at me, but that wasn't it. Disease had taken her mind. A disease she got while she was young and desperate. She didn't even know who I was. I said, "Mom, it's me, Kazuhira." As I spoke, the sound of my own voice rang in my ears. Katsuhira, the name my mom gave me. It means peace in Japanese. I was Japanese. At least, I was the son of this tiny Japanese woman. It was then, for the first time, that I understood the reason, the emotion that inspired my mother to give me that name. She'd watched her hometown and family go up in flames. Her body and her mind were ravaged by war. And yet she chose to have a child named Peace, with a man who was once her enemy. Japan lost the war. But what good is war as a measure of a country? Since the war and up until the oil shock last year, Japan's economy has grown every single year. It's on its way to becoming a stronger country than ever. I stayed in Japan and joined the JSDF. I was 22 at the time. I did it to pay our bills. But it wasn't just that. I could have found work anywhere. And I knew it. And still, I couldn't think of anything else to do with myself. 2 years later, I didn't have to worry about Mom's hospital bills anymore. I left the JSDF and went back to the States. My father was already dead and buried. I was told he'd shot himself in the head. America crushed Japan, but it also crushed my father. My American dream was over. After that, I drifted around and, well, you know the rest. GHQ made women like my mother. It made Japan's peace constitution and the JSDF. And it made me. I was spawned by war, but I don't want to die in one. I won't die for a country, and I won't live like a pauper. I won't have my fate decided by some family register. So as long as I stick with you, boss, I've got a good feeling none of that will happen.
そういう過去があったんだ、風平ミラーって。やっぱ5とかやったけど、ちゃんとピースウォーカーのこういうカセットテープ聞かないとさ、そういうバックグラウンドは分かんないもんね。だからやっぱり大事だよね、このカセットテープちゃんと聞くっていうのは。 まあとりあえずこんな感じ。あとミラーのこれが残ってんのと、ストレンジラブだね。まあ少しずつ聞きながらやっていきますかね。よし、じゃあフルトンリカブリ、まあ、一気に全部やるのはちょっと聞くのはちょっときついから、徐々に少しずつ聞いていきますか。ストライクメーカーがいる。まあこれでいいかな。よし、いきますか。ちょっと朝から耳がかゆいんだ。ヘルメットかぶってるし、思いっきり。
Your current objective is to retrieve the prisoners.
プリズナー。プリズナーがいるのか。
Freeze.
Fulton recovery helicopter is complete.
下にいるね、思いっきりね。一人だけかな。一人だけっぽいな。まずこの人を先に。
Freeze.
全回収でいいやな。
Fulton recovery subject confirmed on board helicopter.
全回収の方向性でいきますか。こっち側には多分いないのか。上がった瞬間的にバレるとかそういうのありましたぜ。ない。まあ時間はたっぷりあるから。どこにいんだろうね。まず上に登った方がいいな、これ。あ、そっか、この状態は登れないのか。いるね。一人かな。しかもロケラン持ってるし。
What was that noise?
うわ、あー、そっちにもいいな。
I'm seeing things. Freeze.
倒した方が楽だな、やっぱり。時間が使えない。
Fulton recovery helicopter is complete.
戻ってきたね。戻ってきたね。 ダメだね。これじゃあわかんない。
What was that noise?
向こうにいるのか、もう一人。さすがに。ああ、大丈夫。一人いるね、あそこにね。この上にはいないよって。
Keep seeing things.
この上にいない。そこに一人だな。いや、こっち向いてしまったよ。逆効果だ、これじゃ。
I'm seeing things. Freeze!
フルトン大丈夫かな、これ使いまくってるけど。とはあんまりないよね、さすがに。この上なんだ。なんかいるのか。人質がいるって言ってたね。お、なんかあるし。お、いいね。最後のベースにいるのかな、これ。耳かゆい。助けて、耳かゆい。ちょっと待って。逆効果だよな。一人二人上にもいそうだな。こっち向いていくかな。一人だけかな。一人だけだな。上にいる？いないな。でも向こうにもいんのか。向こうにもいんのか。眠らせた方がいいかな。こっから撃って眠るかな。頑張って眠る。いやでも他の敵に起こされるよ。あの敵をなんとか向こう側におびき出したいな。
I heard something. Freeze!
見てないな、見てないな。見てないな。かりすぎてもそれどころじゃないんだよ、さっき。余計に傷ができたりして痒くなるから。次痒くなったらちょっと一回中断しよう。
Fulton recovery subject confirmed on board helicopter.
Something there.
どこにあかんあかんあかん。こっちはあかんよ。そこにもう一人いた。いや、多分これ上か。待って、ここ集中しないと一回バレたことあるか。まずこっちってなんだ。こっちから行けよ。なんかあるし。ナイトビジョン使いすぎた。どこ敵？あ、奥にいるやつにバレたのか。この敵もこっから眠らせる方がいいな。足とか狙って眠らせるか。 待って、やばい、あかん。
Can't be imagining things.
待てよ、これまずいんじゃないか、この流れは。非常にまずい流れになってきたぞ。こっち来たじゃん、一気に。やばい、時間制限が結構厳しくなってきた。
Can't be imagining things.
どうすっかな、でこうやって眠らせるしかないな。
What's going on?
オッケー。麻酔が効いてきたな。ベリーグッド。この時を待っていたんだ、私は。これ以上ずっと使いすぎたかもしれない。これ別に何もないもんね。割れない、大丈夫。よし。やべえ、耳かいえ、ちょっとダメだ。これはもういつもこのイヤホン、ヘッドホンつけると耳かゆくなる。耳かゆいって地味に辛いよね。
Watch it. There might be bombs planted next to those prisoners.
What the hell? あ、そういうこと？あともうこれを回収すればいいのか。フルトン何個あんだ？あと。
Wait.
あかん。まあ、時間まで余裕あるからフルトン使うか、残りのやつ。
Can't be imagining things.
ここ降りたらどうなんだ。なんかいろんなドキュメントとかない？ここさっきからね、いろんなドキュメントがある気がする。ここで落ちるだけだもんな。ちょっとまだ時間余裕あるから。さっきからずっとこいつになんかバレるな。
Can't be imagining things.
そうだ、何も見てないぞ。なんとか裏取れないかな。こいつ厄介だな。一人だけ？本当に一人だけっぽい。
Freeze.
あ、フルトンまだ余裕あるから。あ、いろんなものが落ちて
Fulton recovery helicopter is complete.
ちょっとわかんないし。あ、いろんなもの落ちてるんですね。こっからさらにこっち側にも行けんの？あ、行けないんだ。さすがにね。じゃあ、あとは回収して。OK だね。どうやって回収すっかな。爆弾踏まないように。これ壊したら死んじゃう。爆弾踏まないように。どうすればよかったの？これ撃てばよかったのか。
I knew you could do it. Piece of cake, right?
待って、耳かいい。
a problem. Zadornov's not in his cell.
What?
He must have used his prosthetic as a blowtorch to cut through the bars, but we've managed to narrow down his location using a transmitter we planted on him. I'm adding a new mission. Find the KGB agent Zadornov.
これでメインミッションが新しくまた増えたチャプターが。Check at the map to see where the exit. だいぶ治ってきたか。中武器つくか。これは絶対作った方がいいな。ショットガンも作った。お金すごいね。サイドミッションまだ残ってんだよね。これが残ってんの。Eliminate enemy soldier。Classified document retrial。でもな、別に。これ別になくていいや。もう一個くらいサイドプレストいきますか。これね。
Let's get this mission started. Complete the mission and proceed to the Fulton recovery point. So